Hi, Diane here. So I see you're all enjoying, well, I hope you're all enjoying it. I see lots of you posting lovely things about the book. So today is April the 1st, and I was going to do the April day today, but I realised we can't do that because we can't do it until after the day is finished, okay? So April's day will be tomorrow's video. April the 1st will be tomorrow, April the 2nd will be the day after, etc., etc., okay? So, so what I'm doing is an introductory page. Now, this is the page that I did, and I filmed it yesterday and did wonderful. And then we looked at the video and my head was covering the whole book. So I'm going to have to redo this. I'm going to have to pretend to do it in a different book. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do it exactly the same as this, and then that's going to be your video for today. So that's the introduction there, and then tomorrow you will see April the 1st's video. Okay, bye. Okay, so excuse me, I've still got that little bit of cough. I replicated this page as best as I could, and I'm gonna do this video again. You watch, I'll forget loads. Okay, so this was what my front page looked like. It was similar to this. And I'm going to use the journal block, okay? If you haven't got a journal block, you can improvise. But if you don't have a journal block, you really could do with one. It's so useful. I use this, I put my stamps on it. I use it for all my shaped pages, my writing, my frames, etc. There's two versions of this. The original version didn't have the holes and it didn't have the lines on. This is Mark II, and these lines are really useful. Now from here to here, that's 1/2 inch, and from there to there is 1/4 inch. So that makes 3/4 inch. And from this side, it makes 1 inch. It's really useful to do this because when I ask people to draw 1/4 inch, I get things like this. It's, you know, I get some funny measurements. So it just really helps. There's a 9-inch ruler on this side as well. And these little holes are just for doodling. Anyway, we're going to put a frame round here. Okay, so we're just going to take a pen. And I'm just going to use a black paint marker. And on here, what I want to do is I'm just going to place this near the edge here, okay? And the block is bigger, so I've got about a same overhang, both edges of the block. And then I'm not going to start right at the top, but I'm going to start down. I'm just going to draw this block and then I'm going to end. So I haven't gone from the top to the bottom. I'm going to turn this round. I'm going to line it up again on this side, and I'm going to do, do you know, and I didn't want to go over that, never mind. I was going to say keep that circle. You might not have a circle, so it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to keep that circle clear. Okay, so I've done 2 sides, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the top and bottom. Now these lines coming down there, they're really useful for centering. So I get to the line and then I stop. So can you see I've left that circle like that, and then I come up to the top, I line up the, can you see these 2 lines here? Line those up again. You get used to doing it. And then I'll draw from there to there. And the beauty is you can see through the ruler. So I could see that's where I had to stop. Again, like yesterday, if your pen is really juicy, don't pull your ruler like that because it will smudge. Okay, so now I'm going to do exactly the same again. Let me just put that lid there. But I'm going to do it about 1/4 inch in. So I'm just going to line it up. Remember, this is 1/4 inch here. And this time I'm going to start 1/4 inch from the top and 1/4 inch from the bottom. I'm going to turn it round. I always do side, top, bottom. So we just line it up again. Nothing to do at the bottom there. And then I'll do this one and I'll stop 1/4 inch from the top. And then you should be able to just line these 2 back up. So we've got a lovely little frame there. I'm going to do the same on the bottom. There's not much to do on the bottom because you can't see it at this side. Okay, this will disappear in the writing. You're not going to be able to see that. So there we are. So I've got this nice frame round here. And then I think what I'm going to do is I know I'm going to do a border on the edge of it. So I'm going to use the other side. And because I'm using the grid book, I am going to draw a grid. And what I do is I stop when I get to the frame and just jump over it. And I normally do about 3 lines down each side to set it off. Okay, so 3 down there, then I'm going to do 3 this side, but again, I don't want to do, I want that circle to be quite prominent. So can you see where I'm tipping it, the block as I'm moving it? Because if I slide it, it's just going to smudge my ink, my paint right across the page. So I'll do another one here. So that's 3. Hopefully my head, I keep checking, my head is not in the way today. So there we go. And then I'm going to do 3 across this way. And this is just to set it off because I'll be bored soon. I'll be bored doing these straight lines, as you'll see in a minute. And so the rest are just done by eye. So I've got 3 across there. And then 3 across the bottom. And I'm not measuring. It always makes me laugh when people say, so did you measure those? No, did I, Egg? It's very rare I measure anything, unless I'm making a particular, making a book or something like that, and you need proper measurements. Otherwise, I just don't bother. Okay, so you can see where I've started, and then all I'm going to do is just draw in here. Okay, just by eye. And, you know, if they're even, that's good. If they're not, it doesn't matter. I don't mind. There's far more pressing things on our minds at the moment than if your checks are even. But if you're one of those people who really need to do them even, go ahead. Okay, so you can see, because you've started them off, they're going to be absolutely fine. I can't believe I'm having to do all this again. See, that's why I should never be left on my own to film, because I can't film and see what I'm doing at the same time. I can't set the lights up. I'm a bit rubbish, but never mind. There we go. Okay, so I've done that. And then what I'm going to do, I wrote a quote, and the quote I decided that I wanted to write was, I love this quote, I think it's really, really good. It was, we're not stuck at home, we're safe at home. So, and the way I did that was, I worked it out that I needed 5 lines to write this. So I took 5 lines to write this. So I took my journal block and I did 1 line there, and what I need to do is I need to do 6 lines altogether really, and I think it's probably about that wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So I've split it into 6, so it's going to be, we're not stuck at home, we're safe at home. There we go. And normally I would just go in with my pen. I'm not stuck. I know this works because I did it yesterday, but this is what I would normally do. And the reason that I do this is if any of the words are maybe too far over to one side, I can actually go in at this point and I can straighten them up. So for example, if I wrote at home over here and it stopped, once I go and do it in pen, I can go over it. So I've done it in the pencil and then I'm going to go over it in pen. And this is what I call putting the scaffolding up. Now, unfortunately, I can't teach you how to write like me because it's taken me, what am I, I'm 57, so it's taken me over 50 years to do this. I will tell you, I write every day. I am obsessive about writing. I've always wanted to write nice. You know, there's things that you might do that I don't want to do, but writing is one of those things. You could use, I think I talked about this yesterday actually in the isolation video, but you could use stamps, anything like that, but just write. It doesn't matter. So we're not stuck at home. So can you see where I call it putting the scaffolding up? We're not stuck at home, comma. We are safe. At home. And I can neaten these up when I actually go in to colour them. So we are safe at home. There we go. I quite often put a quote on the first page, sort of like my introductory page. Then when you know that it's dry, so I'm going to start at this end, I'm just going to rub out all those pencil lines. And somebody once said to me, oh, you're cheating. I'm not quite sure what I'm cheating at because there isn't an exam. It's I'm just doing my art. So it makes me laugh when people say things like that, as if there's a correct way to write a journal in the coronavirus period. It's just do whatever you want to do, okay? So I've written my quote in there. What am I going to do now? Once I've wrote my quote in, I usually like to doodle if there's any stenciling in the background, and I like to use a very fine pen. These are the ones we have in England. This is the Unipin fine liner, and it comes in 0.1, 0.3, it might even come in 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. There might be an 8 and a 9 as well. The other pens that I use a lot, and I don't think that, no, I haven't got any just out at the moment, is the Letric pens from Ranger. So the Letric pens, they come in a set of 3, and I think there's a 1, I think it's a 1, a 4 and a 7, I'm not sure. But these thin ones are great for doodling. If you're in England, Art from the Heart, Ben is still sending out tons and tons of orders. He's doing 14-hour days packing orders and doing. So we have the Letric pens there. We have these pens. The website is afth.co.uk. If you are in another country, that loads of companies are still doing mail order, and they're still doing telephone orders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, actually, when I go back up to the house, I'm going to do a post. If you know a store near you that is doing online or is doing pick up curbside orders, I want you to let me know. I'm going to put the post up, so wait, you know, and then you can write underneath, and then everybody can see that where they can get some in their area. Let's give a shout out to all these, you know, all the small businesses. That's what we want to do. So I've got my thin pen, and I usually wait till I've done my writing, and then I'm just going to go where this cobweb was, and I just doodle. But I always do it after I've done the writing, otherwise I would get confused with the writing. And I just like a little bit of doodling. I'm a doodler, as you know. You've all heard me say Dina would rather stick pins in her eyes than doodle. So if you don't want to doodle, don't doodle. But I like that little bit in the background there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to colour in the border. And I'm sticking with the colours that are in the book. So I'm going to use the Fiery Sunset, and let me see, where will I start? I'll start here. But you could use, I don't know, your Copics, your pencil crayons, your your watercolours, whatever you want to do. I've already told you I colour everything with these. You never see me without my pens, and you don't have to be too neat. Don't worry about it. This is probably the neatest I am doing checks. Maybe I should have chose a simpler pattern, but we're going to do lots of doodling as we go along. So again, this is where you might want to speed it up. Somebody said, oh, I wouldn't speed it up, your voice is very calming, which I'm quite shocked at, really. But I've been filming some me telling stories to my grandchildren so that they can put it on at bedtime or whatever, and I'm telling them a little story. So that was quite fun to do. Where would we be without FaceTime and WhatsApp? I really don't know. You know, we're not too badly off, are we? You know, we're not too badly off, are we? We're stuck at home, but that's fine. Like I say, we're not stuck at home, we're safe at home. Can you imagine if we didn't have the internet? Then what would happen? I'd be fine because I would do my art and I'd do all my sewing. Those of you who don't know, I'm really happy in my own company. I'm very unsociable. I think when you struggle with mental illness, you know, you learn to enjoy being by yourself. There's a lot going on in my head, so I'm quite happy to spend time on my own. I always have been. I'm never on my own with everybody that's going on in my head. So I need solitude to recharge, especially when I'm teaching. People always find it funny when I'm teaching and they'll say, oh, when you finish class, would you like to come out for dinner? And I'm like, no, thank you. I need to recharge like when you're recharging your phone battery. I have to go and I have to be by myself, and I'm usually listening to a talking book, and I'm either sewing or doing some art or even writing quotes. I like repetition. Repetition is really good for balancing my brain out. So something just like this is so good for me. So I'm sorry if you're struggling at home, and I hope just by doing a little something like this every day is just helping. There we go. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's worked perfectly. That never happens. Normally I get to the top and I've got 2 blocks together. So anyway, right, so what I'm going to do now, I think I am going to take the green one, and I'm just going to colour in the frame to make the frame stand out. You see how quick these are? That's why I love them. They're quick. You don't have to be neat. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to take Balmy Nights, and I was talking about the watered down one. I'm going to use the watered down one. The only thing you can't do is don't colour 2 things next to each other straight away. So if you noticed, I did the orange in the checks, then I went away and did the frame, and then I've come back, so that now that orange will be dry, so that I'm not going to smudge it when I put this in. But if I smudge it, it's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to keep this here. I did notice loads of you have been posting your books that you've made, and it's great, but I did notice 1 or 2 of you are mixing your colours up. So instead of keeping, instead of having like your cools together and your warms together, just be careful of that, because that just makes it harder for you to decorate on the top. in my books, all I ever do is I only put cool colours with cool colours and warm colours with warm colours, and that means I can put anything on the top. This is slightly different where I'm just adding the odd touch, but you do those as a focal point. If you've got too many mixed colours underneath, it's no longer a background, and a background is called a background because it's in the background. When you add different colours, it should be, then they become focal points. Can you see how this frame here is standing out from everything else? So just be careful, those of you who have mixed lots of colours up. So let's pop round here. And this ink, it dries really quickly. It doesn't cure really quickly. It takes, you know, ink takes about 24 hours to dry. This is a lot, when you do it with a pen, it's not as saturated as when you spray with it, so it's usually a bit better. And I forgot to mention, make sure that the pen that you're doing all this with is waterproof, otherwise this would all smudge. Okay, so there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in sometimes I colour them in with with inks, but I'm going to colour them in with the black pen. And I can also go around and make my letters nicer. If I want them to be a bit more prominent or a bit taller, I can go in and do that. And this was the main part of the video yesterday, where all you saw was my head. So that was rather a blow, but by the time I'd done it, we were hoping that we could crop it, but we couldn't crop enough of it out, so I'm doing it again. That will teach me, won't it? Hopefully I'll be an absolute genius at the end of April when I have filmed all these, because I think lockdown's going to last. I think it's going to be a lot longer. I think we're all going to adjust to it. We're all going to be safer doing it. We need to really do it to stop this, really. I'm just thankful for all the key workers. I'm thankful for all those people who are out there so that I don't have to be out there. And that includes people like, you know, the delivery drivers. Oh my gosh, that are delivering all my food, the people who are the Royal Mail, who are delivering our craft items and things. I, for some reason, can't find my lead for my laptop, for my Mac, and so I've had to order a new one. So I had to go, you know, get Apple to order a new one, and that got delivered this morning. Can you imagine if we didn't have delivery drivers, what would we be doing? So I think they're a vital service. The people in the supermarkets, the people who are on the tills, who are, you know, providing. It's amazing, really. It really is. I'm so thankful for everybody. Jay's husband is going back to work tomorrow as a key worker. He is a chef in a school, and the school obviously is open for key workers' children, so he's going to be back in there. He's been off with Otis being ill with the pneumonia. So Ben, getting all your orders out, working his 14-hour days. We've a lot to be thankful for, really. Oops. And I know it's hard, you know, people will say, oh yeah, but I'm not working. Do you know what? I'm not working. I only get paid when I teach, and I've taught twice since November. So I'm not working either. But I'm a great believer in it'll all work out. It'll all work out. I've always been like that, you know, since bringing up the 4 children on my own. If I ever have a lot of money, a massive bill comes. If a massive bill comes, I end up getting some money. So to me, it's it will all work out in the end. There's no point worrying, because this is what my granddad used to say. Can you do anything about it? No. Well, there's no point worrying about it. Can you do anything about it? Yes. Well, there's no point worrying about it. So I'm not really a worrier, never really have been. It will sort it out. There we go. So can you see where I'm filling that in? I'm not going to do the whole thing because I've done it on the other one, but you can see what's happening there. Now with this circle, I want this circle to stand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pretend stitch, and I'm just going to draw lines. You might not have a circle on yours, but this, you might have one for another day. You know, your page is not going to look like my page at all. I will be surprised if any of the days your page looks like mine, but it will just give you ideas for other pages. Okay, so I'm just going to go around. So can you see how it's looking as though this is stitched onto the page? And on here, I'm going to write COVID-19. So that is the initials of the coronavirus. Oh, I can't think what's the last word. It's coronavirus. What's the D stand for? I can't think at the moment. But anyway, so it's COVID-19. So I am going to, it's 2020, so I'm going to take the stamps that I used yesterday, and I'm going to use the numbers, and I'm going to use the large numbers. Now, when you are putting numbers on, if you're putting more than one number on, let's have it this way. If you're putting more than one number on, they go back to front, okay? So I have to put the 0 and the 2 on, so that when I turn it this way, it says 20 and it doesn't say 02. So I'll just... So I can either have it going down like this. I think I'm going to have it going across. So I'm going to take the ink pad, again, archival ink pad, and I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to pop that one there. And I just take a bit of kitchen roll to clean them with. And then I'm going to have a 19 here for COVID-19, but I think I'm going to use the slightly smaller one. So again, when you put it on your block, you want it to say 91, not 19, because then when you ink it the right way, there we go. COVID-19. You know, you do realise we are making history here. In years to come, people will be like, what? You had to stay at home? It's just going to be talked about for years and years and years. So it'll be great that we've got, you know, would you like to have known what your parents are thinking about during one of the wars or something like that? Now people are going to know, people are going to see this history. I'm also going to pop, I looked, this is the one with the emoticons on, and I am going to use the rainy day one. And I'm just going to pop a little rain cloud down there. You could do the weather every day. You could add one of the emoticons on from the weather. And then I'm going to write COVID next to it. You just have to be careful because when you stamp onto paint, it doesn't dry straight away. So I'm going to write COVID. There, so I've got COVID-19. Okay, so that's how I made my page, and this is the one that is in my book. Yeah, that looks pretty much the same. So you can see it was just slightly different. You can see here where I finished colouring it in. One thing that I did do, can you see this frame stands out more? When this was totally dry, I went back in with my pen. I like a nice strong line, so I went round like this. I just did it freehand. You could put the block back on if you wanted. But I went round and I just strengthened it so it stood out more. You see how that stands out a lot more than at this side. So there we go. So that's what I've done for today. Now, today's February the 1st. Tomorrow, this is going to be my February the 1st, but I can't do it till the day's finished. So this will be there tomorrow for you to follow on. Do I know what I'm going to do? No idea. Okay, enjoy doing your first page, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.